Okay, traders. My name is Sean Kozak. I'm the Director of Business Development with SharkIndicators. Today's event is very special for us. We've been working behind the scenes for some time now with the Bunt trading family, Tony Peterson and his team from the Intentional Trader, and we're really pleased to be able to present to you the official launch of the BuntHound party. And what this means is we're actually going to be joining forces with Intentional Trader and Tony and his team, and we're going to be providing you with some really great solutions towards taking his trading systems and his indicator suites and bring them to a whole new level of either semi-automation, automation, or discretionary trading. So rather than me kind of ramble on for the rest of the event, I'm actually going to pass it over to Tony. He's got a jam-packed webinar in store for you today. And if you guys have any questions, type them into the chat box. We'll do the best to take care of those as they come in. And the event will be recorded, so for those of you that are asking about that, we will send that out to you guys. So Tony, if you want to take it away, my friend, I'm sure they're going to love everything they see today. So thanks, guys.
All right, Sean, thank you. And I want to thank you guys at Shark Indicators, Zach and Sean and Jeremy and everybody. And also Daniel Rowe for being instrumental in helping us get all this pulled together from Trade the Plan. In fact, Zach and Daniel are going to join us a little bit later on and talk about a few things that you guys are going to find very interesting. But first of all, let's go ahead and get started. We've been hearing about and talking about BloodHound and incorporating BloodHound into what we do for some time, and as many of you know, we've been working very hard to get it right for you and to get everything ready to go so that it's as straightforward as possible. And we've finally gotten to that point, and so we all feel like partying at this stage. So we thought we'd just make this a whole grand party, because we've had so many people for so many months wanting us to get involved with the BloodHound product after having seen our indicators, the way they work and the way our setups work. It just seemed like a natural marriage. So this is very exciting for all of us involved to finally get to this day when we feel like we're actually ready to release BloodHound and Bunt trading together, and this is what we're calling BuntHound. So for those of you that don't know me and have not visited with us in the past, I used to be a remodeling contractor. By the way, my name is Tony Peterson. I was a remodeling contractor for over 20 years. I got bit by the trading bug probably like many of you have. I saw it. It looked interesting. It was actually introduced to me by a customer of mine. Thought it was kind of cool. Looked at how hard I was working as a contractor versus what he was doing, sitting at a computer all day with no phones ringing, no employees, no suppliers, no inspectors, none of that. And he could just sit and trade by himself in a nice quiet office all day, and I thought, man, that's for me. I figured I'd spend about 6 months learning how to do that and then replace my income that had taken me over 20 years to earn as a contractor, and about 6 months I'd be able to knock that out, learning how to trade. And 7 years later, and many thousands of dollars later, I was still struggling. Had not gotten to the point where I could trade myself out of a paper bag, and was really I'd really hit bottom as far as my trading goes. And then something happened. And if you want to know more about that, we can talk about that later. We actually have an event this Saturday. I'll give you the information on that, where I'll be answering a lot more questions about this thing that happened to me and that turned things around. Since then, I've been a professional full-time trader for a little over 8 years. Have become a trading educator, system developer, and an indicator developer, all in trying to help other people learn what it is that I have been able to do to turn my trading around. Now, a couple of ground rules today. We have a limited amount of time today and a lot of things to go over. Today is not the day that we're going to be able to answer an awful lot of questions. We're going to try to get as much done as we can today, and then we were going to refer questions. If you can, please refer questions to this weekend. Okay, this Saturday we're going to have an event that's going to be an expanded event on what we are talking about today, and a period of question and answer that I'll be there, Daniel will be there, and hopefully Zach will be able to be there also this Saturday, and we can answer questions about butt trading and BloodHound and template building and solvers and all that stuff. So we're going to try to get through as much as we can today without stopping for questions. All right, so today we're going to talk about our non-correlated confluence and how the non-correlated confluence lends itself perfectly to building systems in BloodHound. We're going to talk about how we anticipate a pullback trade, the BuntHound advantage, how to qualify, how we do this every day in our trade room, how we qualify our trade setups in a step-by-step process, which again lends itself perfectly to the system building in BloodHound. We're going to talk about the indicators we use and why we use them, and then I'm going to stop and I'm going to introduce Daniel. Daniel has helped us a lot along the way, and he has been instrumental in producing the templates that we are now distributing with BuntHound. He's going to briefly talk about some of the solvers we've come up with and some of the logic that we've come up with for these templates. Then we're going to get Zach to come in and talk about sending some of these BloodHound and BuntHound signals to NinjaTrader's Market Analyzer, and just a quick view of how you might apply these templates to the Raven order generating platform. And then we're going to talk about some special offers for you guys just for coming to this event. All right, so like I was saying, you know, for a long time people have been listening to me in these types of events or coming to our trade room, and the most common comment that we hear, that I hear, that Lisa and Praveen hear as we're sitting and we're presenting our trading system to people is generally very positive, and they're very excited and they think this really looks great. Now, invariably their next question is going to be, do you have plans to automate this system? Okay, because once you've seen it in action, it appears to be something that seems to be something that would be very easy to automate. Well, I can promise you this was not easy. But this is the steps that we've taken by partnering with SharkIndicators and using BloodHound to create the BuntHound product. We're now taking big steps in that direction. So we didn't used to be able to tell them, we had to say, no, we're really not going to be automating. We have no plans to automate, and generally that would be their reaction would be they'd be upset and they're like, oh, bummer, this looks really promising for automation. Well, no more. We're now ready to go. We're going to talk about some very strong technical analysis type trading systems, and now there are dozens of trading systems out there, and these are all based on technical analysis. So you'll see full trading systems based on order flow analysis, or a trading system based on price action, or a divergence, or a system solely built on support and resistance, or volume spread analysis, or just tape reading, or momentum and exhaustion. So each individually, each one of these, you can find dozens of different types of trading systems built around these types of technical analysis strategies. Now, we've taken a little bit different approach with bunt trading. We take the strengths of each of these systems, of each style, and combine them into just a single very strong trading system. This is what we call non-correlated confluence. Non-correlated meaning that we're getting this information from totally different sources of data, yet they're in agreement with each other. Okay, So here's for some of you who maybe don't know about this, for you maybe this is your first time you've heard about us. We've been around for quite a while now. Most people that are trading futures have heard about us, but if you're new to us, you might want a little bit more background information than we're able to do here in this event. But we have done many other events that you might want to watch to make sure that you have a good understanding of what we're talking about. So here's one, and here's a link, and Lisa put that link in there for you, and go to a presentation that we had done, and here's another one. So one presentation is heavy on the indicators, the other indication is heavy on the setups and how we trade. And we're going to talk about some of that today, but these two events will actually fill in a lot of the gaps for you, a lot of the gray areas. Now we'll go back to non-correlated indicators, and what I mean by non-correlated, we're getting the information from totally different sources of data. So we might be using price or volume or order flow or momentum or support and resistance. And at some point they all come together and they all suggest that the same thing is likely to happen. Okay? They all are in agreement with each other. This is a perfect automation opportunity. If you're going to try to automate a system, if you have just a single indicator that you're trying to build an automated system around, you've only got a small piece of the puzzle. If you've got multiple indicators with different sources of data all in agreement with each other, now you've got a system. Okay? So as an example, let's use a jury as an example, or a trial. Let's say you're sitting on a jury, and if you've got absolutely no information, so you want to sit and you want to listen to the testimony of the witnesses, and that's what you're going to have to use to make a decision. Okay, so let's say the prosecution gets up and they offer an expert witness, and at this point, this is all the information you have, and so far that sounds pretty good. I'm going with what the expert witness says. That's very compelling information, and I'm going to, if I had to make a decision right now, I'm going with what this guy says, because this is really good stuff, and it's the only information I have. All right? So now the prosecution rests. They've got their expert witness. Everybody seems to be leaning towards the prosecution, and then the defense stands up, and they don't offer an expert witness. They offer multiple expert witnesses. Now, these expert witnesses are not in the same field. They're all in different fields, yet they all come to the same conclusion about maybe the guilt or innocence of this particular person. And their expertise is in different fields, but they agree with each other. Okay, so we have a confluence. Now, if you're on that jury, where do you put your trust? I mean, where do you feel most comfortable making a decision? Off of a single expert witness, nice guy, knows his stuff, or multiple expert witnesses from different fields? Okay? This is the whole idea behind a non-correlated confluence. Now, when I started doing this, I started looking for ways to figure out something I could see on a chart where I could identify that something happened, something in particular happens. Now, the only thing I can do when I can look at this chart, many of you may go, okay, well, that's an uptrending chart. It's an uptrend. This isn't what I see. This isn't what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is something where I can see that something happened that caused price to stop and turn. Okay? Every trend has a series of pullbacks. So if I could now start looking at the markets and try to determine, okay, just before price stops and turns, something happens. Okay? So that became my mission, is to go and start predicting where that's likely to happen. When I can start seeing those events start happening one after another, and they start happening, and whenever they all start happening at the same time, bam, price stops and turns. Now I've got an edge, right? So I've started looking for when we can anticipate a pullback. Okay, so this is the ideal situation for combining with BloodHound and creating this BuntHound. We can read the confluence of all these signals that we get, all of these indicators that suggest that a condition exists that price will generally stop and turn right after this condition. Okay, and so we combine these into a logic inside BloodHound that says when all of these conditions exist in the proper order, generate a signal. And this is exactly what you're seeing here. Okay? So pullbacks. Why pullbacks? Of all things, you know, there's lots of ways to trade, lots of things you can trade. Why pullbacks? Why do they give us such an edge? Well, as I showed you just now, the behavior is predictable. You can watch price moving and anticipate that price will stop at some point and change directions. As long as you're paying attention to what's going on with price at that point in time, you'll be able to anticipate the pullback. And as far as trends go, every trend has a series of pullbacks. And there's a reason for that. Now, if you, and I don't have time to go into that today, if you got those links from those other two videos, you would go into a lot more detail, and we'll go into more detail this Saturday, and I'll get you the links for registering for this coming Saturday, and we'll go over why this happens. Okay? They're very precise. They're really easy to time an entry and an exit, which, as you just saw, which is also ideal for BloodHound. We can combine these entries and exits and have generate a very clear signal. We don't need any kind of crystal ball. We simply react to the current conditions. The current conditions tell us that something is about to happen. That's all we need. We're not crystal balling, hoping that something's going to happen much later. Okay? We're looking for a reaction right now based on what's happening right now. That's all we know for sure in trading, right? The only thing you know for sure is what's happening right now. Everything else is speculation. So we just react. Designing rules is very easy to create an edge based on your level of risk tolerance. Again, this is ideal for combining these indicators and your set of rules based on your risk tolerance to create templates inside of BloodHound to generate trades that you're comfortable with. Right? This doesn't have to be something that works for me and maybe my level of risk tolerance. You can very easily create a system around your risk tolerance levels. And we'll teach you how to do that. Here's the best part. Pullbacks are generally ignored by most retail traders. All right? And it's the absolute easiest thing to see, but they're generally ignored for various reasons. And I go into that also in some of those other videos, and we'll go over it on Saturday. Okay? Now, what's a bunt pullback party? Well, this is the party, but that's not really what I meant. What's a bunt pullback trade? Okay? Let's look at a bunt pullback trade. Very simple. Looks just like this. All right? So right here, you'll notice we have a confluence of our non-correlated indicators. So we have an indicator that we call a speed tick. It's based on order flow analysis. We've got two indicators here that's based on volume spread analysis, which is not the same as order flow analysis, totally different, but yet they're also anticipating that because of what's happening inside this bar, the current bar, price is going to pull back. Now these indicators print in real time on during the course of the bar that they're on. They either print at the open of the bar or during the life of that bar. They do not reprint later, and you'll see that later. So we also have a divergent signals. This particular divergent signal is called the flash. It's one of our most favorite indicators in the room. Many of our traders trade simply just the flash. They really love it, and they're looking for new templates to trade, to build systems just around divergence. Divergence is very powerful. We have some momentum, meaning price is dropping pretty hard and fast. We have the velocity indicator. That's that kind of light-colored shadow in the back, saying that price has moved hard and fast and suddenly. Okay, that's very important. We have potential exhaustion. All right, notice all of these non-correlated indicators suggesting that something's going to happen. So we're looking for timing. We're looking for all of these things to suddenly start happening at once. Yet there's a qualifying process. It's not like all of these things just pop up at once and you have to enter a trade. We get a heads up. That's the beauty of it. And I'm going to show you that in a minute. Which is, again, a perfect marriage for using with BloodHound, because there's a step-by-step-by-step process. The same way you go about using solvers to build a logic. Okay, it's a step-by-step process. And this is exactly what we do with bunt trading. So they give us the current information about the data that's coming in right now. This gives us very precise points of entry. Right there. That's it. That's exactly where we enter. This is called a speed flash setup, and we have all of this confluence suggesting right here is where we should go short. All right? And this is the ideal place for BloodHound to generate a signal. Now, let's talk quickly about the framework of a bunt pullback trade, okay? The qualifying process. And we have one that we call our LHF, or our low-hanging fruit trade. Now, there's a qualifying process if you're a very conservative trader and you want to take only the very best and highest probability setups. And this is for that particular trade. Okay, so it's a very simple qualifying step-by-step process. So the first thing that we're going to look for is some strong momentum. Then we want to see increased velocity. Then we want to see the potential for price exhaustion. We want to see some support and resistance nearby. We're looking for divergence, which is really just a change in momentum. Divergence, for those that you don't know, if price is maybe heading up and momentum is actually slowing down and heading the other way, that's divergence, okay, or vice versa. And then we're looking for a trigger for when to enter a trade, okay? So let's take a look at this real quick. So what's strong momentum? If I presented a chart to you that looked like this and I said, do we have strong momentum there? You're probably going to say, no, not really. We really don't have much momentum there. We're looking for something where you can see that we're setting a series of lower lows on each bar and with a pretty decent drop over several bars, okay? Lower lows or higher highs. So yeah, we have some pretty good momentum at this point. So the next thing we say, okay, we have some momentum. So do we have any velocity? Well, when you see price just kind of moving along, yeah, we have a trend there. Yeah, that's nice. But is anything happening that gives us any reason to believe that something sudden is going to happen? Something's going to change. We don't have any reason to believe at this point that anything's going to change because we don't have any real velocity. So when you have a sudden strong move, that's usually when people react, right? They're either going to react because they may be long and something happened and now they're going to, oh, heck, I'm jumping out, and they bail out. Or they're short and they're like, ah, time to take some profits. Regardless, suddenly there's a bunch of contracts dumped on the market and price stops and turns because the supply has overwhelmed the demand, or vice versa. All right, and price just stops and pulls back a little bit until it levels off. It happens every time. So yeah, we have velocity. The potential for exhaustion. Now this is an RSI, or a relative strength index oscillator. So when price is just oscillating between the extremes, there's no reason to believe that we've reached any type of level of exhaustion. But when that oscillator drops on one side or the other of those extreme lines, then we believe that price has become exhausted. When price becomes exhausted, it wants to pull back. Okay? So do we have exhaustion? Potential for exhaustion here. We do. All right? So we're qualifying. Okay, we got momentum, increased velocity, potential for exhaustion. Now, do we have support and resistance nearby? I call this, this is what I use for our safety nets. Safety nets meaning that if the trade goes against me, I have support and resistance to help me. Okay? Now we do have support and resistance, but it's nowhere near the current price. So if something dramatic happens, I really don't have any reason to believe that it won't continue to happen or push one direction or another. So we don't really have any help from support or resistance. But at this point, I do. All right, so I have support and resistance here. If I wanted to enter a trade long here and it went against me, I have a good, strong line of support behind me to help it catch that price as it may want to go against me, to help slow it down, give me a chance to manage my trade. Okay, so we have support and resistance help at this point. Now we want divergence. Again, for those of you that don't know, divergence is probably one of the most powerful trading tools that we have. It's also probably one of the most underused trading tools that people use because it's difficult. It's difficult to read and understand and to train your eye to see it, and you will miss it more times than you'll actually catch it. Now, what is divergence? When you see price, you know, the swing lows on price and the swing lows on a momentum oscillator are headed in the same direction, then we don't have a divergent condition. They're both headed in the same direction, which is normally how things run. Price and momentum will generally run together. When they diverge from each other, what happens is price will generally catch up with momentum. All right, so we have a divergent condition, meaning the swing highs on the momentum oscillator are dropping. Momentum is actually dropping, but price is still climbing. When if you don't get anything else out of this and you learn something about divergence, if you have a divergent condition and the momentum has changed before price does, price will tend to follow momentum. Okay? So we have a divergent condition. So that's another of our step-by-step process that we put together to enter into a trade of our what we call our low-hanging fruit trade. So finally, we need a trigger, and for us, we have a couple of different ones. We have our speed tick, and then we have a trigger called a Rico dot, which is the combination of those two indicators down there below the bar. That's our ricochet and our pullback alert. So we have a trigger. We're ready to enter a trade. We'll show you a little bit more about that in a minute. Now our indicators, you may have noticed that our charts are very clean. We have little indicators here and there, but we have removed a lot of the superfluous information that we don't need to help us make decisions. We only put the information that we need right in front of us. Okay? The decision-making information, and we get rid of the rest of it. We don't need it. This is kind of inspired by the fighter pilots. Now of course they have heads-up display and all kinds of things, but it started in jet fighters. And if they took their eye off of their target or their enemy and they look down and they look away, they're vulnerable. And so I kind of took that. I noticed that when I was trading in the past that I would have so many places for my eyes to be and so many indicators to look at and decipher and figure out what they mean and figure out what it means in combination with this one and then with that one and all of these things that when I came around to actually entering a trade, I was never sure I was doing the right thing. And usually once I entered the trade, and I can still remember this, I'd enter a trade and I'm in this trade and it's going against me, and then I start looking around again at the indicators and go, oh, I missed that. Oh, I wish I'd seen that. Now what do? Do I get out, or do I just stay in and cross my fingers and hope, or what do I do here? So we removed all of that from trading. This is that emotion management that you talk about all the time, the need to manage your emotions. We don't really do that. We don't have emotion management issues. That was one of the things that the thing that happened to me. One of those things that I came up with was that I realized that I'm not going to be able to manage my own emotions. I just couldn't do it. 7 years, I keep the mantra, manage your emotions, trade like a machine, manage your emotions, trade like a machine. And then you read a book or you watch videos and you're all, you know, gung-ho, and I'm going to do it today. I'm going to manage my emotions. And you might be able to do it for a while, but how many of us know that's what we need to do and we just can't do it? So I finally realized, you know what, I just can't do it. It's not in me. So how about if I come up with something where I don't have to do that, or at least minimize the amount of emotional management that I have to have for trading. If you've been in our trade room, and I see a lot of our traders are here, you'll notice that we're pretty relaxed. I might enter a trade and then stop and talk to somebody about something else while I'm just waiting for the trade. There's no excitement. There's no nothing. We call it waiting on the bus. It's very simple, very straightforward, low stress type of trading. So for me, the chart on the right was something very similar to what I might have been trying to trade with. I'd be looking at all of these things, trying to make a trade decision. If you look carefully, you may notice that the chart on the right and the chart on the left are the exact same chart. In fact, the chart on the left has the exact same indicators as the one on the right. And the chart on the left is indicating a potential setup with that confluence up at the top. Okay? So the indicators are now doing all the heavy lifting. And then we combine all that heavy lifting, all the indicators, and have BloodHound just pull it all together for us and make the reading and the analysis of what the indicators are telling us a snap. They just pulls it all together and say, hey, it's all together here, right here. That would be a good place for a potential trade. All right, so we have confluence. Yep. We have easy to automate. Yep. Very simple. When we have a combination of indicators show up, we generate a signal. So when you're looking at this, we see that we have nine different things telling us on this chart right here that we can anticipate a pullback. We have an overbought condition. We have our speed tick indicator. That's based on our time and sales. We have a ricochet, which is, it says relative volume, but that's not right. It's actually relative order flow. And this is a slide I've been 2 years, I keep trying to change this slide and it keeps coming back. We have the pullback alert indicator, which is based on volume spread analysis, which in and of itself I could do a 2-hour webinar on. The flash indicator, which is divergence. We also have our McDiver, which is also another divergence indicator. That's that diamond. That's divergence of the MACD momentum oscillator. We have our velocity indicator, which is showing us potential exhaustion. We have our FT reset indicator, which is our major support and resistance lines. And then we have our high of the day there, which we use for minor support and resistance. All right, so all of these things came together in such a way that tells us we can anticipate price to stop and turn here. Okay? Now, if you're just looking at a chart with all that on it, there's nothing to tell you that price is going to stop right there and turn. Now, is it going to turn a long way and is it going to pull back a long way? We don't know. Personally, I don't care. I'm not trying to generate a lot of ticks. I'm trying to find an edge and exploit that edge on a regular and consistent basis. That's my goal in trading. If you're trying to make a lot of ticks each day, this may not be the thing. If you want to find an edge where you can exploit it regularly every single day, consistently, then bunt trading is what you're looking for. All right, so another way to think about and look at confluence. All right, so let's say that we're looking for an indicator to anticipate our competition's intentions. Competition, doesn't matter who they are or what type of competition, all right? But let's say that there are 4 indicators on this screen that might help us anticipate what this person who might be our competition might be up to, what they might be thinking, what are their intentions, okay? So maybe it's a frown, maybe it's a mask they're wearing, that might be an indicator. Maybe their shoulder is hunched up. That might be an indicator about how he's feeling about something. Or somebody's got a fist. Okay, generally that's an indicator that maybe you better watch out because you're about to get hit or something. I don't know. You have to decide by looking at this indicator. This doesn't necessarily tell you what to anticipate to happen next. However, if we combine all of these indicators, okay, we combine them into a single unit, we combine them, and now we still got the fist, we still got the shoulders, we still got the mask, we still got the grimace, but we combine them, and now this confluence of indicators makes his intentions very obvious. Now, this doesn't tell us what to do. It does tell us that these conditions exist, and now we have a decision to make. And we have good decisions or good information from which to make this decision, okay? Except now he's got a party hat on, so it's kind of hard to take him seriously. I couldn't resist. Especially couldn't resist this one. All right, Daniel, you're paying attention? You ready? Look at Daniel's got the party hat on. Woohoo! Don't forget, it's a party. All right, so we've talked very briefly about the premise of bunt trading and BuntHound and BloodHound. We're going to now go into a little bit more detail and want you to see more what Daniel's been working on, more about what our solvers can do and the logic that we've built inside BloodHound. So you're actually going to get to see some of what we've been working on inside BloodHound, okay? So Daniel, are you ready, sir?
I am. Thank you very much.
You like
it's a great presentation. I love it. I love it. I love how you got the little image of the bloodhound on there. That's pretty cool. Good stuff. All right, I'm going to take it away here.
Go ahead.
All right. Okay, give me just a moment. Let me choose the right screen here. All right, if you can see my screen and hear me okay, just give me a Y real quick. Let me know I'm coming through. Loud and clear. Yep. Wonderful. All right, excellent. Let me just take a moment and talk about this for maybe about a minute. I want to kind of talk about, Tony's been describing defining an edge, and I've worked with, I don't know, at this point, over 100 people, maybe 200, and I've built twice as many systems, so probably 300 systems or so, and rarely do I come across somebody that is actually, well, I don't want to say rarely and be discouraging, but it's honestly, it's not all that often that people come to me with a real edge, and Tony he's really found something that's pretty incredible, actually, and it's quickly becoming one of my favored signals. Now, this is a chart from today's price action using crude oil with a 1-minute chart, and you can see it's not hard to find these just dynamite trades. Now, you might be thinking, well, they're kind of few and far between, and let me correct you if that's what you're thinking right now, because I do hear this from a lot of people. Oh, well, yeah, you got that one, but look, you're missing this move, you're missing that move, and wow, you missed this whole entire move. Well, if you have a system that is catching all of these moves, so I mean, let's say you have a system that's taking, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 signals a day, I would be willing to bet that that system is a losing system. All right, just because you have moves doesn't mean that it's something which you can, get the probabilities in your favor and build an edge around. All right, what Tony has done is he's, using the speed tick and the ricochet and the MacDiver and the Flash and all of these different things, and when they come together, that's where we're getting the signals. And it's really through that trade selection that he's been able to find just these great trades over and over again. So I just wanted to make that clear. If you have if you're kind of thinking, well, what about this area? What about that? That's really faulty thinking. It's really all about trade selection, and that's what Tony's put together here. So let's do this. I want to show you a little bit about the template. Now, I don't want to confuse anyone or go over this. Essentially, I'm not going to go over all the details of it. I just want to kind of show you what you're getting here. So you see this green line marked up on the chart. I have to assume that a lot of you don't really know even what BloodHound is, but what BloodHound has enabled us to do, and Tony was mentioning how difficult it can really be to have a system automated, and I would think to build something like this, wow, I don't know, it would take quite a long time, I'm sure. I would say probably 6 months. But what we have here is we have all of the rules that Tony has put together laid out in visual programming. So BloodHound has enabled us to do all of these complex conditions and basically build this, I would say, in less than 1/10 of the time that it would take to write this out in NinjaScript. So we put all of the different pieces together. We have all of the different conditions here. Let me just kind of go over what you're seeing. Now, obviously, BloodHound is marking that bar right there with the green line. So when all of the conditions have come together, I think in this case, this is the speed flash, or no, I'm sorry, the speed tick. Nope. Let's see which one it is here. Okay, it's the Rico dot. This is the Rico dot trade. All right, so on this bar, all of the conditions have come together for the Rico dot trade, and we get a long signal there on the open of the bar. So it looks to me like you only had about 2 ticks against you on that trade, and then it went straight up. All right, that's the case for most of these trades. So what we have here on the left, this, hang on a second, one moment. I'm about to mess up here, about to mess up everything. All right, what we have here is connected to this AND node are essentially all of the conditions for the FT reset for these support and resistance lines. What we don't want to do is we don't want to initiate a trade when the open of the bar is equal to one of these lines. All right, so that's what I've had to build here with all of these conditions. So we have essentially one solver for each of the lines. All right, so I put them all together, and this will keep us from initiating any trade on a bar on which the open is equal to any of these support and resistance lines. Okay, and then now let me go through just a little bit more. Here we have the pullback alert, the climax bar, or the climax churn bar. This is the volume spread analysis condition that Tony was just talking about a minute ago. So you can see when I connect those by themselves, we get a short signal out of the pullback alert for a bar ending as it's going up, and then here we get a long signal on a bar that's coming down. All right. Hang on one second here. Okay, there we go. All right, so now, and this is what I think is so cool, what Tony's allowed all of you to do is, you rarely see this out of a vendor, a software vendor and an educator. He's given all of this to you open. All right, so this is open source BloodHound template. So what you can actually do is you can take this and add your own entry and exit logic to it. So let's just thumb through this chart right now. We have a long trade here, a long here, beautiful long there right at the bottom as usual. Another good one there, but look, here we have one that's maybe it was actually a winner, but it didn't completely reverse there. Let's say if we wanted to eliminate that trade, what could we do? Well, let's say we want to add our own conditions to this. We want to kind of refine the rules, add some of the different methods that we've been using, whatever. Let's say we want to add this Bollinger Band to it. All right, so I'm just going to quickly build one condition just so you can kind of see how it's done, and then I'll pass it back to Tony. But first, let me just show you how to do this. It's really just so easy. We're going to add this one condition. We'll use a 60-period volume-weighted moving average Bollinger Band. I'm going to add that to the chart now. So let's say we want to make sure that the trade is being initiated outside of the Bollinger Bands, because this is a kind of counter trend signal or a pullback signal. All right, let me just take those paint bars off. There we go. All right, so let's say we want to build one condition where the trade has to, the bar on which we're getting the signal out of the trade, or the previous bar, had to have been outside of the Bollinger Band. So let's open this up a little bit. You can see here on this beautiful long trade, the low of the bar on which we get the trade and the low of the previous bar was outside of that lower Bollinger Band. All right, but on this one it wasn't. So let's say we want to eliminate that. Let me open up BloodHound and show you how we would do that. Very easily. So we'll add a indicator comparison solver, and this is really the magic of BloodHound. You'll see me build this condition in less than a minute, and to write this out in code, I can't even begin to understand how long it would take, but I'm sure it would take a very long time, especially for me. So I'm going to use the high and the low of the bar. When the low is below the lower band, we want to give a long signal, and when the high of the bar is above the upper Bollinger Band, we want to give a short. All right. So for indicator A, I'm using the data points on the bar. For indicator B, I'm using the Bollinger Universal. Let's set it all now. Yep. 60, we're using an hourly volume-weighted moving average. Okay, and remember the upper band, as long as the high is above it, we give a short. So we're going to get a short out of the upper band. And as long as the low of the bar, like in right here, as in right here, then we'll get a long signal out of that bar because it's below the lower band. All right, so when I connect this, I have the exact opposite of what I'm looking for. So what I need to do is change these numbers down here. Remember, we're looking for when the low is below the lower band for long. So A below B, A less than B. So I set that one to 1. Set these to 0. And then obviously for the short condition, when the high is above B, when the high is above the upper band. You see? So there we go. Now then, let's refine it even further. Let's say that the open of the bar has to be above the upper band or below the lower band, because really that's where the trade is initiated, at the open. All right, so let's connect the actual trade. There's our trade right there that we're wanting to eliminate. There's the condition that says the open has to be above the upper band for a short, and the open has to be below the lower band for a long. All right, so let's do this. Now we're going to add this together with all of these trades. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to say if the previous bar's open was above the upper band or below the lower band, then we'll allow the next bar. All right, so I do that with this little look back node here. And I'll set this to a look back of 2 so that I get the previous bar and set this to max. And don't worry if this is confusing. You know, like Tony said, we're going to spend quite a bit of time on this on Saturday and really get into the meat and potatoes of this stuff and hammer it out, let all of you ask questions. and you know, really let you guys understand this stuff. So see there, we've eliminated that trade there, but we still have all of these great trades. So that's one way you could kind of refine this, you know, even further if you want to. There's, you know, you can do anything that you want to. If you have some other special methods that you really want to incorporate into Tony's, maybe you think it's going to make the winning percentage even higher, then you're free to do that, because Tony's made all of this available to you as an open source, which I think is really, really phenomenal. And of course, I'm here for you. If you have any questions, I'll put my email in the chat box there. But like I've said, like Tony said, we are having a webinar on Saturday, and we'll really go over this stuff in more detail. You can see all of these different solvers. We have different settings for the different markets. So you see right now I've selected the CL because I'm looking at crude oil. But what Tony's figured out with that speed tick indicator that he's come up with, there are different settings for each of these markets. All right, so we have an accompanying logic tab for each of the different markets that he looks at. And whereas you only saw 1 or 2 trades today in crude oil, well, when we're looking at 8 different markets, then we're really able to cherry pick those perfect trades all day, every day. And that's what it's all about, is lining up those probabilities in your favor and knowing when to pull the trigger. And Tony was mentioning that controlling your emotions is about the hardest thing in the world to do. There's actually one lady that teaches trading psychology. She says you can't do anything without emotions. But if you can learn to kind of control your reactions to those emotions, then you're starting to make progress. Well, what BloodHound helps you do, even one step further, is automate these entries. So now, let's say you're too emotional, you miss trades, you overtrade, you can let BloodHound now, with Raven, with the strategy component that comes with BloodHound, together with Bunt trading with Tony's program, you can let it enter the trade for you automatically, and then you can manage it manually. All right, and eliminate all the emotion out of the entry. And I think that's really what it's all about, and that's what's going to give you guys the power to really get good at this. And I couldn't imagine a better trade or system to get started with. Or if you've been trading for years and you just you haven't been able to make it happen, this is going to make it happen for you. So with that, one more thing, Tony has put together a forum on the website, which I'll be a part of. So if you have any questions, you have certain things you want to do, you want to build certain conditions, of course I can help you on a one-on-one basis, build custom strategies, however you want to do. But I'll be there on that forum participating and answering questions as needed. So with that, I'm going to pass it back to Tony now, and he's going to continue on with the presentation.
Thank you very much. I think that really helped. Now, one of the things that I want to make sure everybody understands, Daniel, again, was very instrumental in helping us pull all this together along with Zach, and he is also available, his company, he has a company called Trade the Plan, and if you have particular ideas that you would, many of us are inclined to work with things like BloodHound. We like the process. We get involved. We really want to know the ins and outs. Many of us don't care. We have ideas about how we want it to work, and we just want somebody else to put it together for us. So we've got the whole team here. We can help you do it yourself. We can help teach you how to do it. Or you can just dish it off to Daniel, and he'll do it for you for a very small, reasonable fee. And he's reasonable because he's fast. He's really fast, and he knows what he's doing, and you can see that he can go right to it. You can give him a premise, and he can work it up for you really, really fast. So we're really excited to have Daniel as part of this team. Okay, so now let's move on, and Zach was lucky enough to actually not only get a hat, but also a party blower. So I thought that he needed have a little bit more fun. So he got the blower. Zach is a partner at SharkIndicators and a product specialist. He's got about 10 years of trading experience and a technical background. civil engineering and software programming, IT logistics. He's helped a lot of traders build systems and do back testing. And so he's going to talk about now how we can take these, rather than just having these BloodHound signals on the charts, we can actually take these signals and apply them to NinjaTrader's either market analyzer or to SharkIndicators Raven and actually generate orders. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it over to Zach.
All right, thanks, Tony. Let me get down that last screenshot there as quickly as I can. I love party hats, but well, yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys, some of the value that BloodHound can, assist the trader with. So I guess the first part is getting a good trading methodology, which is what Tony provides here with his indicators and his trade setups, and to add more value to the trader and conveniences. That's where BloodHound comes along here. So you guys can see this workspace, and this is a slight modification of Tony's workspace. Right, so Tony's workspace, I believe, typically watches 8 different instruments. You'll notice that over here in the corner, I'm actually missing an instrument. Normally, you'd have the TF over here in the corner, but I've got that removed. So that way, I've got the market replay going here, so I can show you, some specific things that BloodHound can do. So just imagine, if you got 8 instruments here, that's the beauty of trading the futures market is, there's plenty of things to trade, and so Tony can set you up to watch 8 different instruments, so that way you have plenty of possibilities, plenty of trade setups, that you can that are available to you during the day. If you're missing, if you're only watching one instrument, then you're just subjected to, hopefully that one instrument, setting up correctly for you. So if you're watching more instruments, well, that's great. That's more opportunity for you. But just imagine if you're watching 8 instruments, that's a lot for a person to try and monitor constantly. So you get a lot of great opportunities, but also at the same time it dedicates a lot of focus and attention. And so the way BloodHound can assist with that is by using NinjaTrader's market analyzer, and that's what these are, right? All these little windows here that kind of look like mini Excel spreadsheets here, all these cells. This is NinjaTrader's market analyzer, and I have BloodHound running inside each one of these. And so each one of these is monitoring different trade setups for each of the instruments. So for example, this is the FDAX chart, and down here I have the market analyzer monitoring the FDAX. And what will happen is if one of these trade setups occurs inside of BloodHound, these cells will alert you. They'll show you, they'll put up a piece of text that says, in green, it'll say long for a long trade, or red for a short trade. Okay, so having BloodHound monitor all these charts for you, it just takes a lot of it can take a lot of stress, and a lot of focus, a lot of mental capabilities, off of the trader, and you can relax a little bit more and allow the software to do a lot of the monitoring for you. Now let's see, I've got the market replay data here, so I'm going to pause this, And next what I'm going to do is show you some of the automated entries that are available to you through BloodHound. So let me just change my workspace over here. And so when you purchase BloodHound, when you own BloodHound, we have a strategy called Raven, and that's what you're seeing on the right-hand side of the chart, right? So this is Raven's chart trader interface, and so let me start up the market replay data, and we're almost queued up for one of Tony's trade signals to fire up. So it should be happening here in just a few seconds. And
order pending.
So there we go. Let me just well, I'll just let it run here. So if you want to, this is just some possibilities here. Tony doesn't actually trade running Raven in his rooms, but as a BloodHound owner, once you learn how to use BloodHound, and you kind of decide what trade setups you like and you prefer, and after some testing and whatnot, you can automate some of those trade setups as well. Also, Raven has this auto enable and disable button, so you can have Raven on and you can just turn it off, so that way you can use your own discretion as to when you want Raven to trade for you and when you want it and when you don't want it to. So you can turn Raven on and off with just a simple click of this button up here, some other convenient buttons on here. A close button. So if you don't want to wait for this trade to play out, if things market's just looking kind of flaky and you don't want to wait for the trade to play out, you could close it out quickly and easily, and then turn Raven off. So let's see here. If I speed this up, we'll show this trade will finally close out. Of course, for a nice little quick profit here. So let me speed this up a little bit more. We'll just close this out, and then I'll turn it over to Tony here.
Order filled.
All right, so there we go. And then also Raven here has a little display here, and kind of lets you monitor your P&L for that day and for the trades. So, all right. Well, with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Tony. Thank you.
Great, Zach. Thank you. Am I showing the right screen? I'm not sure what I'm showing. Oh, good. Okay. I clicked the button. I'm not familiar. I don't use GoToMeeting much, so. All right. Thank you, Zach. Really appreciate that, and appreciate all the hard work you've done and helped us pull this together. And again, everybody, Zach is very available for help. That's one of the things I love working with these guys and Daniel. We're all just falling over each other trying to help, so it's really fun to work with. And we have some customers that can attest to that. Some of our bunt traders that keep giving me really good feedback on dealing with Zach and Daniel and how awesome they are to work with. I want to bring something to your attention. For those of you that aren't familiar with us and or haven't spent any time with us, we don't like to publish testimonials, because anybody can write a testimonial. So what we prefer to do is actually every so often we have a trader spotlight. We'll interview one of our traders, ask them the types of questions that people ask us. We ask them their impressions about us and our trade room and our bunt trading style and their success and all that stuff. And we also ask them what they don't like about it, and some of the things that you might like to ask them. So if you want to watch some of these trader spotlights, our most recent one is trader Nick. He's in the room almost every day. In fact, if you're paying attention, he'll let you know when it's time to go for a coffee break every day. So you go to our events page, and you can watch these videos of our traders, and these are the people that you'll meet every day in our trade room, and very, very interesting. And one more quick announcement. We're actually going to have 2 events this week. We've been talking about this Saturday, which is down there at the bottom. Now, Lisa will put in a link for you. For those of you that are watching this back on video, we put in a shorter URL there for you down at the bottom. So either one of those links. This Thursday, we're also going to have an event at 4 p.m. And for those of you that already registered that there was a mistake in the registration, it said 4:30, you should have received another email that changed that to 4 p.m. So this Thursday at 4 p.m., we're going to help those people that have purchased and are working on getting started with BuntHound. We're going to do some very preliminary help and question and answer period, not specific to building templates or building solvers or how all these things work. We really want to help people spend this time making sure your indicators are installed properly and they're up to date, making sure all your settings are done, indicator settings are set right, your charts are built right, that the BloodHound is installed and installed properly, that you're getting the proper signals, things like that. We're going to help you make sure that everything is ready so that when you meet with us on Saturday and we do this overview and you might have some questions during that period of time, you'll have everything all set up on your charts and ready to go, okay? So 2 different events. Please make sure that you jot these down. If this link is too long, this link down here will also work. Or Lisa put in a link for you. You can just click on them and then register, and you'll get an email for both of those. Okay? So that's this Thursday at 4 and this Saturday at 11 a.m., both of those Eastern time. Okay? If you have any questions about that or you didn't get it, contact Lisa. If you haven't noticed, her email is on the this edge of the slide, every edge. Contact Lisa, and she'll get you the information that you need. So please take advantage of this. If you have any question, contact Lisa. We're here to help. We're very excited. It was a great party. I enjoyed having Zach and Sean and Daniel and Lisa and Praveen and everybody here from the trade room. It was a great time. It was a wonderful party. We're very excited to have more people come and hang out with us in the trade room and learn more about bunt trading and BuntHound. So we appreciate the guys over at Shark Indicators. Thanks for this opportunity. And we look forward to seeing you all very soon. Sean, I'm all done.
Well, okay, Tony, I really appreciate this this opportunity to work with you guys. You know, we apologize we went over, 13 minutes over our time slot, but in reality, I don't think I've ever seen a better webinar put together with our team. We work with a lot of companies, and everybody does a bang-up job, but I've yet to see, such value created in such, valid setups. Daniel Rowe, I've worked with Daniel for a long time, and not too often I get to hear Daniel speak up about, an edge. And, when Daniel kind of speaks about an edge, I kind of listen because I'm a trader as well, and he sees a lot of systems, and we work with a lot of traders and trade rooms. And if you guys are looking for that edge, I really believe that the BuntHound opportunity is going to provide you with those resources. And with regards to the savings, with regards to the bundle offers that they put together, aside from just selling a product, you've got dual support from 2 really, really well-established companies that are here to really help make your trading goals a reality. And that's the biggest part, right? The support that you get from the communities amongst all of us and everybody over at Intentional Trader. I really look forward to hearing some of the success stories of the traders using these bundles and the software. It's actually one of the best parts of being on the back end of all of the traders. We actually get to hear traders, come back and let us know this was the best thing they've ever done. This is, this is what they've been looking for, for years. When there's an opportunity, we need to jump on that opportunity, and I believe it's found ourselves to this webinar. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time to be here. Thanks again, Lisa and Praveen and Tony and everybody over there at Intentional Trader. Thanks, Daniel and Zach, for helping us tag team the event to make this a success. and we will send out the recording once it's ready for you guys to view it. So everybody, appreciate you guys being here, and I really look forward to seeing you guys on the inside. So stay tuned for the next event.
Don't forget about our Facebook page, and to like us on Facebook, and we also are on Twitter at Intention Trader. All right, everybody, have a great day. Thanks.
Thanks, Tony. Yeah, so everybody, the link's now in the room, and we look forward to seeing you guys in the next event. So thanks, everybody. Take care and have yourself a great night.